some liability to ensure that Mr. Nupp meets the city zoning requirements, and that they are agreeing to do what they can to annex the property into Fort Dodge. However, this memorandum of understanding basically allows him to continue with the construction in violation of the Webster County zoning ordinances, with the understanding that he's going to be annexed into the city. If he's not annexed into the city, I believe the copy that they have here, Mr. Nupp agrees to return the property to a condition that will comply with Webster County zoning ordinances.
And I believe it also states that the owner will also assume full responsibility and liability for all and any legal costs incurred by the county in enforcing the terms of the city. It's my understanding that the residents of the city have agreed to this memorandum of understanding.
By doing this, we're not actually granting the variance or superseding our board of adjustment by any means.
You're basically ignoring him by doing this until he is annexed into the city. And that's, that's the thought that I've made. I've intended to make well known that if the annexation does not go through, I believe allowing him to continue puts the county in a worse position than it's in now. Because at that point, the construction is completed. It's always harder to force compliance with an ordinance after the fact. If we were to force compliance now, I believe from a legal standing it would be much easier.
Are we forced to compliance by agreeing to tear it down if it doesn't?
That's just an agreement on paper. I mean, it's not, it's enforceable, but we're going to have to argue that. And it may or may not be enforceable. So we're going to have to argue after the fact that the building should be torn down rather than argue now that they shouldn't be put there.
I have to put you on the spot for a second.
Yeah,
Can you share some of your information?
Carissa Miller, City of Fort Dodge. Last night at the Just for clarification, I understand that Mr. Nupp owns on both the south side and the north side of Cardinal Avenue. Is the annexation of all this property or just on the north side?
This particular annexation will just be for the north side. The agreements do account for both the north side and the south side. However, it's basically just saying, it's saying that at the time that the council determines they would like to annex the property to the south, the Nupps will voluntarily annex that property. It just situates that property for annexation in the future if it's chosen. Now, at this time, we can't necessarily annex that property in on the south because it will create an island. There are properties to the east that are currently not within the city limits. So that is illegal to create an island.
Are we agreeing to him to build a property that's not in compliance on the south side too then? Would we be agreeing to that in this memorandum?
We're only discussing the, no, it doesn't specifically state, we're only discussing property that is the subject of this particular agreement right now that we want to develop. So,
But you said it includes the south side
at
too.
that point, though, the property,
It was my understanding that this was only, as described in Exhibit A. So Exhibit A is just the north property.
This property.
It's not shown in this, what I have here, but that is what we initially just provided.
and based on what Ms. Miller says, my reasoning stands, you're essentially allowing him to do this in violation of the ordinance, which we can certainly do, especially with this agreement. Coming into this meeting, my impression was the CNS product was still not happy that they would test this. That was one of my primary concerns in this, though anybody can raise an objection. That would have been my perceived issue in possibly blocking the annexation. So I think the.
Correct, I have to ask you, what legal standing does CNS Products have to object to this development?
In my opinion, it's a weak legal standing, but they can argue that the Fort Dodge City ordinance, the setback requirements, my understanding is the building is within Fort Dodge's setback requirements, but it's also my understanding the CNS Products attorney was set to argue that the property does not match surrounding properties, and that based on a uniform scheme of planning and zoning ordinances, the properties should match. Now, there are no neighboring properties to speak of, which is why I think it would be a weak argument, but it's an argument nonetheless that could delay the process.
And I don't agree with your statement that the zoning requires it to match. I believe the statement has to do with the site plan acceptance, and it has to do with things being proportional. Sounds very subjective to me. So, I think this whole idea that CNS Products is dictating how this goes is really not the point that we're here to talk about today. And that, it's my belief that, the city and the developer have come to an agreement that this is going to be annexed into the city. There is no real downside to Webster County for this annexation to occur. It allows the property to be developed. There'll be an increase in valuations. We have a good corporate citizen who develops other properties around town. They do a good job, or in my opinion, they do a pretty good job of maintaining and developing their properties. I would be in favor of approving this because I do believe that Brian has proposed language that gives us the strongest basis that we can. Nothing's 100% here. So, that's it.
In essence, though, I think Clarissa, if you can clarify this, by us moving forward, the Nupps are really the ones taking all the risk here. Because if for some reason the neighbors would come together, together contact and contest this annexation, and if it fails, they're taking all the risk because they're agreeing to remove it.
Correct. If they sign this agreement,
expenses to have that done, legal expenses.
What's that?
And they'll pay our legal expenses to have that done.
As far as I understand. So basically, yes, they're doing this at their risk, and that is one thing that we have put into the property owners.
I have a couple questions. First of all, with your agreement with the Nups, he already has the foundations and everything in, not legal. Is he planning on moving these buildings and the foundations then?
Well,
meet
we
your
will be
requirements?
required to meet all building requirements, our building code. I'm no expert at the building code requirements, but he'll have to submit building plans. In terms of site plan, he has submitted an updated site plan showing that 15-foot setback that's proposed within the agreement.
He actually took a building out that, just removed a whole building.
Okay, I just wanted that clarified that.
And he actually did not end up having to remove that building. He had with the 18-foot setback. With the 15-foot setback, he basically just shrunk the building
Or
down.
did he?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it basically was legal to start. For the 15 feet. Okay, I just wondered that. I just want, one more time, Mark brought it up, but with Ryan, a couple of points I'm still concerned about is, number one, even though this agreement says everything, you go to court, there's no 100% guarantee that the court isn't gonna say that this agreement stands. But I do want you to clarify, my biggest heartburn on this is that we're not agreeing to variances, because we have no authority to do that over the other board.
No, you're not agreeing to any variance whatsoever. You're just.
So we just have to be comfortable that signing this, if Mr. Nupp or anybody doesn't annex in, that we feel we're comfortable we can force it over the buildings. Okay, and then the other public point I wanted to make is we've kind of been made out to be the ones stopping this project. The county has never stopped this project. And in fact, if we don't sign this, his project's still gonna go 60 days from now. So the fact that we're hindering his ability to build a property or anything is not any of our, none of us have tried to do that. I think we're all on board to let him and think it's great he's building buildings. But he's the one that started doing it not legal before he did it regulars. So I just want to make sure that was clear that even if we don't do this 60 days from now, he can start building his buildings. So.
Mr. Singer?
My thoughts on this are as follows. First of all, I received no comments pro or con from the general public. Practically speaking, and I've always said this, that whether it's a 25-foot or it's 50-foot setback, in terms of safety concerns, there don't appear to be any. So consequently, the jury would be honest to whether 25 or 50, either one of these is a problem. And then finally, there are certain significant penalties that are set forth in the agreement. One can always argue that this will end up in litigation, cost everybody a lot of money. But at the end of the day, you trust the various folks in the agreement that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. And so consequently, as we go forward, it would seem reasonable to me that we go ahead and sign the agreement that we understand.
Any other comments?
Well, I just want to make sure that when I brought up CNS products, I was at the meeting the Monday before, and there was some heated discussion back and forth, and I just want to make sure that both those companies were satisfied because they're both good corporate citizens. And I have no problem with either one going forward. I just want to make sure we didn't get thrown into a legal battle with CNS products down the road. That we take care of. And I'll make one last point. Contrary to Bob, I have had a lot of calls, not only from CNS, but from other people that think we're bending the rules for one individual property owner. And so there are people concerned with that. Some people are concerned with safety. And I'll go back to that. In my opinion, if Mr. Nupp would have gone to our variance board originally, he would have gotten his variance. It would have been built by now and everything would be fine. Because I believe that board would have accepted his 25 feet instead of 50 feet. But, so, I just want to put it out there that I have had other people besides CNS question us doing this way for one individual property. And the one thing we did stop was the drainage going to the road. I mean, that was one thing that we did stop. And that was something that we brought up that was going on that shouldn't be going on. The county did stop that.
However,
That's taken care of.
That's right. I want to emphasize that the developer did
he tried to put it in illegally to start with. It's only because Keith drove by there that day and caught him doing it, so.
So the thing hasn't gone really smooth, but hope it goes smooth from now on.
We have any comments from the public?
Wasn't on the safety issue, was not due to CNS products.
You have to go up to the podium, Art.
Oh. We have to in public. You're probably done already.
You are.
You'll be the floor.
Yeah, I'm on the floor, Flurry with crowd, 19 South 15. There was a problem brought up at the city council meeting that I remember, that the police were concerned about from CNS products and safety in the area because of the employees, due to where they're having their entrance onto the property. Now, has this been clarified, or do you guys even know anything about this?
The young lady that can answer that's behind you.
Yeah, but
I would say real quick, Chris is gonna answer from a city perspective, but his entrances and things were never a question for the county either. It was only the setback, so the county has never had a problem with entrances or anything.
In regards to the safety concern from the CNS product, that was basically the question of should there be a 15-foot setback? And there is now a 15-foot setback, which they are providing in the agreement signed approved last night. So that safety concern, to our knowledge, has been resolved, to our understanding. Now, CNS's attorney has stated to me that he would like to see when the agreements are signed, because it is stated within there that 15-foot setback is required. So, and in regards to any other safety concerns, that is why the building code, the fire code, and the site plan requirements are all in place to reduce those concerns on safety.
And early in the going, that problem was brought to my attention. The response that I gave was, if it's not rectified, please let me know. Again, I didn't hear anything from that.
In conclusion, I just put out there that I've had my questions vetted appropriately and intend to go for this.
Any other, Mr. Devine?
Pleasure.
Carol?
Mr. Nutt. Supervisor Leffler, Mr. Nutt wasn't operating legally in what way?
The only thing I know is the drainage, and Keith
The
could
drainage.
maybe a little bit better.
Is there an enforcement agency that
Yes.
needed to be notified if that were taking place? But are you guys?
It was.
And it was,
It was.
correct. That dealt with drainage, he could probably say better, that dealt with drainage where he was taking the runoff from the parking lot. And originally, they had it piped directly into our ditch. That caused a concern, I believe, he saw it, and it caused a concern to Randy first, I believe, primarily Randy, because he deals with that, and that wasn't going to be in compliance. You can't just drain the property into the ditch.
Right.
And so that's been rectified. He has now tied it into the city drainage system. So
After
that,
it was caught.
yeah, so that's,
So you guys are the enforcement board then here, if there's a problem with this type?
We bring it up to Randy. I mean, I stated, I brought it up to Randy went out and said, hey, you can't.
Webster County ordinance number 28 protects and regulates the public county right of way. And so that's how we enforce this problem with drainage.
Randy, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, Nutt's property says here,
Right.
right in, and it goes straight west.
Goes to that ravine there.
Every beat, right?
Yeah.
there. We'll follow that out.
So is that the reason, is that the real reason then you decided not to approve his initial request?
let's back up on that a little bit. We were never requested to do anything. He did come to us with a request that was for the variance, and it's not our legal position to do the variance. He needed to go, that's where I mean, he needed to go to the variance board for that. And
He did not.
And he did, but it was rejected at the time. And you asked that board why it was rejected or whatever. Then Mr. Nutt tried to come to us, in my opinion, and kind of circumvent that board, and that's where we did tell him, no, we can't We cannot give variances, and that's why I asked the question, David, whether this technically was given a variance or not. So it's been a difficult situation with the drainage. Mr. Nupp has all of his concrete foundations in there. They've been there for months, and that's legal. But once he starts to put we've always been careful, because once he starts putting the buildings, they were not going to be legal. We would have the enforcement on that through the zoning.
And we were prepared to stop it. As soon as anything was started to happen in violation, so.
The one building that has been put up is legal and is permitted.
Okay.
I guess it all started out was Clyde ordered a building, planned the site, and then found out that we had changed the rules in 2009 with the zoning
Okay.
setbacks. That's how it all started out.
So Ryan, as far as you know, there is an agreement in place between the Nupps and CS.
It would be,
It's between the city and the Nupps, and basically within that agreement, it states that a 15-foot setback is required on the east side.
Because of the annexation, it's between the city and the Nupps.
Correct.
Okay. And
Yep,
CS
it's an
is
annexation agreement.
right, and CS still has the ability to contest that annexation, is that what you said earlier? Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. Yes. So with that, all those in favor of item number 5, which is to approve and authorize the chair to sign a memorandum of understanding between Webster County, the city of Fort Dodge, and Clyde and Diane Nupp regarding the annexation into the city of the development of real property, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 6. Approve and authorize the chair to sign proclamation proclaiming the month of October 2014 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Did you guys all get a copy of the proclamation?
We did.
All right.
Before you, well, yeah, I'll ask them for a motion.
I'll do item 7, 6.
And since you're up at the podium, why don't you introduce yourself and
I'm
tell us
Stacy
why you're here?
Marine. I'm actually a nurse. I've been a nurse for 20 years. Long story short, I was told by my physician I needed to calm down in life. I was a surgical nurse. I was doing long hours, and I like working with people. And they came into the domestic abuse. I dealt with it at the regional hospital, for labor delivery. So I have a background in that. And our biggest concern right now is getting our name out there, DSOC versus crisis intervention. In 2013, the legislature said that you cannot have advocates and housing in the same building. So we are currently at First Baptist Church looking for a permanent place to live, access to our clients, and then DSOC actually just does the shelter part of it. So I don't know if you guys are aware of that. Here are some brochures, and some pens, some trees. And Kelsey Riley is our sexual assault coordinator. Ashley, here is domestic.
Yep, I'm Ashley Coco, I also do domestic violence.
Amy Olps, she is our SART coordinator, which is Tommy Terry. I was kind of like the guinea pig for this sexual assault response team, which includes law enforcement, the hospitals, the physicians, and they can meet together monthly if there's an assault on a client or crime committed, that law enforcement and the hospital and us work closely together to make this job easier for each person. So you'll be seeing her, I talked to Jim, you'll be seeing her out in the public a lot more. And then mine, those. And there's ribbons in there if you like to wear them for October for domestic violence awareness month, that would be great.
Okay, well, I tell you, I'm going to read the proclamation, and then we'll take a vote as to whether the board supports it, okay? So, whereas, home should be a place of warmth, unconditional love, tranquility, and security, and for most of us, home and family can indeed be counted upon as our greatest blessings. Tragically, for many community members, these blessings are tarnished by fear and violence. And whereas domestic violence is more than an occasional family dispute, it is a serious crime that affects people of all races, ethnicities, ages, mental and physical abilities, socioeconomic status, religious background, and genders. And whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity due to the systemic use of physical, emotional, sexual, physiological, and economic control or abuse. And whereas 241 adults and children have been killed in the state of Iowa as a result of domestic violence since 1995, and Webster County annually averages an estimated almost 50% domestic violent arrests. And whereas children who grow up in violent homes are abused and neglected at a higher rate than the national average, and more than 4 million children in the United States are at risk for witnessing domestic violence each year. And whereas domestic violence costs the nation over $5 billion annually in medical expenses, law enforcement and court costs, shelter and foster care, sick leave, absenteeism, and reduced worker productivity. And whereas only a coordinated community effort will bring an end to this epidemic of crime and violence, and we, as a community, must address these problems of domestic violence in our homes and neighborhoods every day of the year. And whereas a coalition of organizations has emerged to directly confront the crisis, law enforcement officials, victim service programs, healthcare providers, the faith community, and other concerned citizens are helping in the effort to end domestic violence. We must recognize the compassion and dedication of these volunteers and professionals, applaud their efforts, and increase public understanding of this important social problems. So, with that being said, we'll call for votes. All those in favor of approving and authorizing the chair to sign such, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, and we therefore declare the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
You're gonna make sure you want to wait until after your meeting.
Absolutely.
That's what I thought.
How about you choose Keith? He's got a shirt on. Thank you very
One
much.
was fun, that being said.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on. Item number 7, approve and authorize the chair to sign proclamation proclaiming September 2014 as Webster County Crime Stoppers Month.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item number 7.
Second. We have a motion and a second, so. Whereas Crime Stoppers of Webster County is a nonprofit organization primarily funded by private donations from citizens and businesses. And whereas Crime Stoppers of Webster County has paid cash rewards to individuals providing information leading to over 2,000 arrests and the recovery of millions of dollars of contraband and recovered stolen property since July 1st of 1982. Whereas the Crime Stoppers of Webster County benefits the citizens and the business communities in and around Fort Dodge and the other towns by partnering with them and with surrounding law enforcement agencies. And therefore, the chairman of the board has hereby encouraged to support the Crime Stoppers of Webster County and proclaimed September 2014 as Webster County Crime Stoppers Month. All those in favor of the chairman signing that, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Give the sheriff want to comment on it?
Well, yeah. As Keith knows, Keith's a member of the board, also is from the Board of Supervisors. This group of people, I don't know how else to say it other than, it's a very dedicated group of people, and they're very, what?
She doesn't know for you.
No, they're very diligent about preventing crime in Webster County and the surrounding area. The state patrol, the city of Fort Dodge, and the sheriff's department are all board members on this, and they're are several ways to report tips and remain anonymous. And it's just it's a leg up for Webster County because we have such a good group and it's a model group that has been used as a model in other counties. So I think your support to this group is very important and great as well.
Jim, I'd like to kind of compliment you and the Crime Stoppers group. You're one of the pioneers in this whole cooperative effort. Agencies working together. Last week we were at the reception at the open house at the OHB Park, and that's the thing that was emphasized there was the cooperation of agencies working together to get things done. So Crime Stoppers has been in existence a long time. Certainly demonstrates the effectiveness of this together.
Well, and the whole purpose of Crime Stoppers, obviously is the quality of life for everybody here. So we can make the quality of life better and keep our crime rates down, then it benefits everybody economically and everywhere else. Because who wants to move into a high crime area and we don't have that? So.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank both these groups too. They do a lot for the community. It is interesting sitting on the Crime Stoppers board when they talk about the tips and people call in and they are anonymous. And they'll give exact locations of somebody and the person will move and they'll go, yep, I'm watching movies over here. So it is kind of neat what Crime Stoppers does for the community, how they do. People do turn in tips and do get a little donation for that. But a lot of people are arrested because of that. Like 80 or 90% of the people on that most wanted get arrested or turn themselves in.
Fletcher, I've attended for 4 years the Crime Stoppers meetings, unless I forgot or something. But anyway, although all the legal entities get together, meaning Highway Patrol, DCI, Iowa Central Security, all of them getting together is clearly important. As important is the notion those of us that were not in law could recognize the cooperation, and you could hear it, and you could see that they're visiting about this case or that case in terms of how things are progressed. It wasn't that it was necessarily confidential material, but you could see readily as a lay person how valuable them getting together and also how well they're cooperating. And it was a pleasure for me for the 4 years to watch this and be a part of that. And we'll keep this out. But it really, really is a valuable tool that we have for a variety of reasons.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 8, approve and authorize the chair to sign a utility permit from Eastern Rural Water District to Directional Board 2 and 2-inch PVC water main from the north side of 394th Street, approximately 1,700 feet along the east side of Bassett Avenue to a new home at 3956 Bassett Avenue in the northeast quarter, southeast quarter of Section 33, Township 86 North, Range 27 west of Dayton Township.
Mr. Chairman, I will nominate.
Second motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and second, discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the motion passes. Item number 9 is to approve and authorize the chair to sign a utility permit from Mid-America Energy to extend 1-inch underground natural gas line service from 2-inch main in the southeast corner of 230th Street on Highway 169 to 23102 Old Highway 169 in Section 11, Township 88 North, Range 29 West, Elkhorn Township.
Move item number 9.
I'll second.
Motion second, discussion.
Other than this permit will be necessary for Mid-America and your contractor to close the road, 230th between 169 and 169, or they need to connect us under the Portland cement concrete pavement. They'll have to dig in there and cut it out, and at their expense, pay patch it back. So a little bit different than other
railroad crossing repairs on Union Pacific Railroad between sections 112, Township 88 North, Range 30 West, Fulton Township, and designing a detour route.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 10.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
A motion second, any discussion, comments?
It was closed at 8 a.m. this morning as the resolution is presented. And it's scheduled to be closed until sometime Friday.
Comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 11 is to approve and authorize the chair to sign the resolution to erect stop sign for the southbound traffic on South 12th Street approaching 22nd Avenue South in the home addition.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item number 11.
Motion second. Discussion, comments?
Yeah, maybe you wonder why we're doing stop signs in September 2014, but we've had, in the Coleman area, occasionally have some challenges and issues with fences and vegetation and whatever, and we do what we can to make the intersection safe, and recently, this individual has a legal chain link fence that has some lines running on it, what have you, and some other trees, and it truly does, and I don't think we have any authority to cut those or remove those, so it boils down to that the approaches due to the terrain vegetation development limit site distance, so the stop sign is probably a good thing to do at this location.
Questions for Randy? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 11 passes. Next item on the agenda is the citizens' opportunity to address the board with items that are not on the agenda. Person who wishes to address the board, please step up to the board. Seeing none, we're moving on to Board of Supervisors Committee reports.
I was just at the OHB Park opening Friday, and it was well attended. And we had a good time, so very good asset to the community having that.
I can reiterate that the EV Park was excellent turnout. Staff spent a lot of time, including the city. It's a great partnership that came together to build that park. Randy, you could probably add to this, but as the turbine project comes to a close for the year, if you live on a gravel road that does need maintenance or has not been serviced for maintenance, please get hold of myself or the engineering department so we can get the rest. We do have a contract with a contractor on that to address those issues, and we'd like to, if we've missed a road or a road that has been neglected by mistake, please contact us immediately so we can talk to the contractor, get those issues addressed. Going to be some parking changes over in the south parking lot due to construction on the second floor of the bank building. So during that time frame, there'll be some contractors there. We'll be removing some parking for a dumpster, and the contractors to be getting in and out of the parking lot safely. And lastly, harvest is starting this week, so please take your time or take some extra time when you're driving. There's going to be a lot of slow-moving vehicles out on the highway, secondary roads, gravel roads. Please respect the farmers as they're out there trying to get the harvest in, so they can do it in a safe manner.
I again say the OHV Park, it's a hidden jewel out there. A lot of people even in Fort Dodge don't realize what that is out there and how big it wants to be for us in the future. So I encourage anybody to go out there and look and check it out, even if you don't ride a vehicle. I think there's going to be opportunities for hiking, fishing, and all kinds of stuff out there. Went to the quarterly Growth Alliance meeting last week. Things are in full swing with the Growth Alliance, promoting the ag park and other things. The membership is up. They're starting a membership drive. They also are putting out in public the economic impact study that they finished. I believe today we're going to that, and the public will have some meetings in the coming week or two. So I encourage anybody to go to that. It really shows what an impact these companies have had on Webster County. A lot of times we don't realize how those dollars flow through the community, and it's really interesting to see those results. So I encourage anybody sure the newspaper's gonna run articles on it. I think they're doing a big spread on it, so check that out in one of the meetings. And then lastly, I'd actually like to invite the sheriff back up again. He's doing a drug take back this Friday, so I'd like you to promote that.
We have another drug take back this Friday, the 26th. This will be from 4 to 6, and it'll be at 2 locations. It'll be at the Hy-Vee pharmacy, not the drugstore, but the Hy-Vee grocery store pharmacy. It'll be out front, weather permitting there. And it'll also be at Daniel Pharmacy down here at 12th and Central. It'll be the second time we've done it at Daniel Pharmacy. We've always done it at the Hy-Vee pharmacy. And Chris out at the pharmacy has been very helpful. John Daniels and his staff, and Lisa that works there, have really went above and beyond to make this a success. And last year, the part I wanted to get out, there is a press release out, and I'll probably stop and see Mike Devine tomorrow, but paper hasn't went to be the paper tomorrow. It's been on the radio several times. But last spring was very successful, and just in Webster County, we took in 43 pounds of prescription drugs that we sent to the DEA. So, and that's not all that we took in. Obviously, some are destroyed by the pharmacies. What they can destroy, what they cannot destroy, we ship to the DEA. So it's been very successful, and more people that we can get to come out to this. It cleans out those medicine cabinets, wherever the medicines are that kids can get into or anybody can get into, and eliminates the use of them, other than what they were intended for. I don't think we can go wrong there. So everybody please come see us. And if you can't make it to one of that, come to the office and I'll take care of it for you before then. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Anything else, Brian?
That's it.
I do have a thing or two. Primarily, October 14th, the Department of Transportation will have one of their quarterly meetings, in which is an area input. This one will be held in West Iowa, and Shirley Phillips, the Highway 20 Association, is planning a presentation, and struggling for this town, but it's up close to Sioux City. But realize that there's some significant undertow and support for increasing the gas tax, which will benefit city, county, and state. Des Moines Register has clearly taken a position that it ought to be done. I was interested in the television the other day, and frankly, one of our channels in Des Moines has gone out of its way to be critical of this increase, but indeed turned around and interviewed about a 25-year-old gal that you would expect would say no increase in gas, I can't afford it. On the contrary, said if the money's going to go to improve our roads, I'm all for it. That speaks volumes by virtue of the fact that, again, they could pick either side they wanted to go to in this particular case. They were in favor of the increase. So ultimately, at the moment, we are trying to think of a good, catchy slogan, if you will, in terms of supporting the gas tax increase. I think it's going to come to pass. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Mr. Devine and KBFD as supporting that out in the airwaves as well. So I think it's good for Iowa. No one is really, we're going to be down to supposedly $3 a gallon for gas, whether it's $3.10 or $3, what difference really does it make? And there's that variance between Fort Dodge and Des Moines, Fort Dodge and Sioux City. So ultimately, I think it may come to pass. This is going to happen this year. Good for Webster County as well as the rest of the state, clear for highway. That's all.
And
Boy, that's plenty.
well, I just would like to take this time to recognize our assistant county attorney, Ryan, and the work that he's done for the board in the last several months, that he's been our, I guess, attaché, in addition to all the work that he has to do with prosecutions and things like that, taking the time to deal with more issues in this latest incident of development has been a real time consumer for many, many people. So
One more
One
thing.
more thing, yeah. Merrill and I opened up the courthouse Saturday for the homecoming of the Dodgers. We had 50 to 75 kids come in and take pictures. They all thought it was great. So we'll be doing the same, Merrill will be doing the same thing this Saturday till 4:30 to 6. From 4:30 to 6 for St. Edmunds, if they want to come in, if it's raining or if it's not raining, the courthouse will be open. They can take pictures anywhere in the courthouse. We had a really good turnout the last couple of years, so it's always fun to do that.
I will take a motion to allow claims.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.